Hey, what's up guys? This is Nick from Nick Exposed, and on this episode, I'm gonna give you my top 10 favorite film photography and photography podcasts that I think you guys should be subscribed to and following. I listen to these guys on a weekly basis, and there are so many good nuggets in here. So without further ado, like I said, these are the top 10. They're not listed in ranking, so it's not like 1 to 10, it's just 10 of my favorite podcasts. So starting off with number 1, it's Ibarionex Perello's The Candid Frame. I'd be surprised if a majority of you guys aren't already following Ibarionex and his podcast, but he does incredible interviews with fantastic photographers. Ibarionex asks some of the most just unique and interesting questions that really dive deep in like unearthing the gold out of people. So if you're into like really outstanding interviews and really getting to hear from incredible photographers like Joel Meyerowitz, Elliot Erwitt, Ralph Gibson, David Duchemin, and so many more, this is the one. Like Candid Frame does so many different interviews. He's been going for years and years and years. So there's an entire backlog of catalog that you can go back and listen through. I listened to a few of them check out the Ralph Gibson. You guys know I'm a big Ralph Gibson fan, but his interview on The Candid Frame is one of my all-time favorite interviews. I've probably listened to it like 10 times already, but go check those ones out. Definitely subscribe to The Candid Frame. Number 2 is Jeffrey Sidoris and Bill Wadman on Taking Pictures. So this one isn't, the first two here aren't necessarily film photography. They do talk about film photography, and some of Ibarionex's interviewees are film photographers, but on Taking Pictures, they specifically talk, for the most part, like they get kind of flack because they aren't always talking about on Taking Pictures, but they talk about art, pictures, the thought process in kind of the thinking aspect of making work, making bodies of work, they really go into all sorts of different things. They connect different bodies of art and painting and drawing and all these different things. They really bring so much into the conversation. It's an incredible conversation. It's not necessarily an interview format. It's really just Jeffrey and Bill talking back and forth together, but they have really insightful conversations that I think you guys are really gonna enjoy. And I listen to them every single week when they come out with a new episode. I look forward to it every single time. So definitely check out On Taking Pictures. That's number 2. And we're just gonna keep I'm gonna try and move through this and kind of keep this a little bit more of a compressed video, but I'm also gonna be linking to each one of these down below. Number 3 is a new one for me. I just came across this maybe a month ago or so, but it's Jeff Courteau's Camera Position. Actually, I owe this one to Dave Rothschild, who commented on one of my 2-Minute Tuesdays a while back and said that the topic that I was talking about really reminded him of this podcast. And in going and listening to Jeff's content, it really does kind of feel like Jeff takes the same type of approach as the 2-Minute Tuesdays and gives just a little nugget and a little thought to really kind of chew on for that week and to really kind of delve into and start thinking in a different way with your photography. So I really relate with Jeff, and I really relate with the content that he's bringing on Camera Position, and I think you guys will as well, especially if you like the 2-Minute Tuesday series. Not that it's like a apples for apples comparison, but at the same time, if you like that type of, hey, let's think about this, let's get a conversation going, Jeff Courteau's Camera Position is a great one for you to check out. Number 4 is Awesome Camera Podcast with Joey. If you guys Joey has Awesome Camera's YouTube channel. He's on Instagram. I mean, he's killing it on every single platform. So if you guys aren't following Joey on all the different platforms, all the links will be down below. But definitely check out his podcast as well. It's where he brings on different film photographers and they get to talk about camera and gear and just kind of the thought process that they put into the projects that they're doing and the different things that they got going on at that moment. So you get to hear, I still enjoy geeking out about gear, and Joey's podcast is a great place to do that. His YouTube channel is a great place to do that. So all around, all across the board, check out Awesome Cameras in the Awesome Cameras podcast. But yeah, Joey, you're such an awesome, he pops into the comments every once in a while. So Joey, thanks so much for always being a giant support. And I love what you're doing over there with Awesome Cameras. Number 5 is a new podcast to just the podcast sphere. but Timothy Ditzler with We Believe in Film. So you guys probably know Timothy. He's another film photography YouTuber as well. He's doing great things over on his film photography YouTube channel. But then just recently with the whole Anchor app and everything, he's been able to do, he tries to do it on a daily basis, but a daily podcast, or at least multiple times throughout the week, to where he talks about everything film related and just anything that's really, you get to kind of see behind the veil of Tim and just all of his thought processes. So he'll talk about some of the camera releases, he'll talk about just literally just life and just different things that we film photographers kind of wrestle with or think about and just kind of talk through. So his is always very timely, and I love them. They're short little, 5 to 10 minute episodes that you could really consume on a bite-sized basis. And you can even, if you're new to his podcast, you can catch up on like the entire stream of his podcast within, I don't know, an hour or two, something like that. So definitely check out Tim's podcast there. But then also that leads us into the next one, which I'm going to give a little disclaimer. These next 5 are a little bit biased. I've done interviews on each one of these next 5, but I will say I was listening to and following each one of these podcasts before I did any interviews with them. So I strongly stand behind these guys, not just because they've brought me onto their show, but because of who they are and what they're doing with their podcast. So number 7 is Analog Talk, and that's Tim Ditzler from the last podcast, and then also his co-host Chris. And they just bring on photographers and they choose like one topic to really dive in deep. Our episode is actually all about zines, which happens to be the name of the episode. So if you look up All About Zines with Nick Exposed on there, you'll find our episode. But we dove in deep with the zines. We talked about all sorts of different zines, kind of walked Chris through the initial thinkings of her first zine, and just threw out some good nuggets and some good ideas. Both Tim and I had some experience that we were talking from, so you guys could go check that out. But they have a host of different photographers, film photographers that they're bringing on, so you could go check that one out as well. Number 7 is Street PX with Casper and Jim. I recently did an interview with them to where we talked about zines and film, and it was really their film week episode, so we talked all things film. The thing I love about Street PX is being a street photographer, there's not a whole lot of channels that really go into the aspects of shooting street and the aspects of really getting out of a comfort zone and building a collection of images that really kind of catalog either a specific area or document a majority of areas. And Casper and Jim do an amazing job at picking out incredible photographers, incredible street photographers, and people that are doing great things within the photojournalism and street photography world, and really dive in deep on their street photography process, which is one of the things that doesn't get talked about a lot in a lot of different avenues and a lot of different channels, and they do an extremely good job on doing so. So again, the episode that we did, we dove in deep on film and just everything in that process. So it was a fun episode. If you look up Film Photo Week or Film Week episode, Film Week with Nick Mayo or whatever it might be, you can check it out and you will find the episode that I did with them. Number 8, I even feel bad about throwing this out there because I know so many of you guys have found me and my channel through this, but it's The Shoot with Matt Day, and I would be like super surprised if any of you guys weren't already following this episode or this podcast. And Matt has just released and just announced that new episodes are on their way. As of right now of making this video, my episode is the very last episode that was on the channel, so you can find it super easy. It's just the Nick Exposed episode, but you guys, I'm sure, know Matt Day. He's an amazing film photographer, amazing film photography YouTuber, and is just doing incredible things for the industry, for the film photography community, and is really just giving back, and his podcast is no exception. This is an incredible podcast where he brings on guys like Jason Lee and Ray Barbie and just so many different film photographers and skateboarders and just people from all walks of life that you get to hear just in-depth conversations. The thing I love about Matt and the way that he does it is it's much more about a conversation than it is about like an interview. It's like you're a fly on the wall listening into two friends talking. And that's definitely what it felt like in our episode. It just felt like two friends talking, chatting, having a good time, and happened to be talking about film stuff. So Matt Day's The Shoot is incredible, and I look forward to new episodes, Matt. I've been looking forward to these for a while, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Number 9 is another new film photography and just photography podcast called First Person Shooter, and this is with Wes Boker, and his is incredible because he takes a different approach. He talks about film, he talks about photography and the whole photography process, but he also breaks it down and talks about the family aspect and what does it look like to manage family with our creativity. And that's just something that nobody ever really talks about, and everyone always has questions about. Emily and I always get questions asked on how do you guys manage your personal and work or art life balance and everything like that. So Wes and I actually dove deep into that topic within the 25 minutes that we had for our podcast. I will say that I was extremely hoarse. I lost my voice on that podcast, but it's an amazing podcast nonetheless. So our episode, I got to go in deep talking about Emily and my marriage and the things that we do to guard our marriage, to guard our time together, and then also what that does to play into our artwork, our photography, Emily's artwork, and just everything like that. It was an interview that I had not had with anybody else, and that was over on Wes Boker's First Person Shooter, and that was episode 4, so you can go check that one out, but then check out all the other episodes. He really dives in deep on just the family and film and you know, the whole process. It's just amazing, so go check it out. And then last but not least is With a Camera, and that's with Kristen. Her social media handle everywhere else is Kristen with a Camera, but Kristen does a very like straightforward interview structure to where you get like just straightforward interviews and you get a lot of information packed into these different interviews. She brings in photographers from all walks of life, from portraiture to landscape to street photography, everything in between. She's done interviews with Mike Padua from Shoot Film Co. Our interview was called Interview with Nick Exposed, super simple. But Kristen does a great job at really just diving through a multitude of subjects with each of the people that she's interviewing, and really kind of covers just the basis across the board of how did they get into photography, what are they doing right now, what projects are they working on, what are the strengths that they're experiencing, what are the fears that they're experiencing, all sorts of stuff. You can find it over on Kristen with a Camera or just With a Camera. And again, I'm going to be linking to each one of these down below. I highly suggest that you go and follow each and every one of these guys, subscribe to them on whatever podcast app that you have. I know every single one of them is on iTunes, but I'm sure they're on Stitcher and SoundCloud maybe. I don't know which ones. I don't know. I use iTunes. Whatever you use, I'm sure they're on there, but go check out each and every one of these guys. They all have just an incredible like variety. I mean, this list, I tried to give you as large a variety as I possibly could with this list, and everything from interviews to conversations to conversational interviews and just bite-sized nuggets, all sorts of different things. So again, go check out each and every one of those. Check out the episodes that I was on. So again, those last 5, I'd love to hear your thoughts on each of the different episodes. I've heard a lot of great things about the different zine episodes with Matt Day and Analog Talk, to where it really sparked ideas in people with that are trying to make zines. But then also over on Street PX, one of the things that I forgot to mention was Casper actually allowed me to post, I'm going to link to it up top here, but he allowed me to post about 15 minutes of unreleased content that didn't make it over to the podcast. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go and check that out up top here. But then also check out the original interview. And once you see it all together, there's so many great nuggets within there. So thank you guys. I appreciate you guys checking this out. Thank you to everyone on this list for making incredible content for us photographers, for us creatives to really grasp a hold of and really run with. And I absolutely love the audio platform. I love what people are doing on these podcasts. So I look forward to new episodes from each and every one of these, and I look forward to hearing you guys' thoughts and you guys' favorite podcasts down below. This isn't an entire list of the ones that I listen to. There's a bunch of other ones, but these are the ones that I definitely listen to on a weekly basis. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave your favorite podcast down below, even if it's one of the ones on this list. I'd love to hear what your favorite is down below. And if this is a new video for you, if this is your first time to the channel, go check out some of the other videos. I got stuff like making a camera strap out of a leather belt, so like DIY videos. I got thrift store shopping for film cameras. I have an entire series on making photo zines, and I'd love to have you check those out. Go ahead and like, subscribe down below, and share this with your friends. Don't hoard this information. There's 10 amazing podcasts on here. Don't hoard them for yourself. Share this video with all your friends, and I will see you guys on the next video. Until then, go listen to more podcasts and share your favorites with me down below. I'll see you then. Peace.